I'm Karima Brown. It's a Sunday night and it's time for The Fix. Our big hitter is Director General in the National Treasury, Dondo Mokgajane, our man holding the line for South Africa at the Brics Bank. From landmark elections in Zimbabwe to the dark heart of state capture, my expert panel breaks it down in the look ahead.
My gift is to tell the story and to write the story of the farmers.
And in the cool stuff, Nonkululeko Britain Masekela redefines her relationship with the land and farming. This is The Fix, where every Sunday night, without fear or favour, we question the big hitters. We will look ahead and tell you what matters, and beyond politics, we look at the cool stuff South Africans are talking about. We begin with this week's big hitter. Joining us this week is, of course, our big hitter, the Director General in the National Treasury, Mr. Dondo Mokgajane. Mr. Mokgajane, good evening. A big welcome to The Fix.
Good evening, Karima. Thank you for having me on your show. Thank you very much.
Now, of course, we have witnessed the Brics Summit. We have witnessed quite a lot of important announcements, particularly financial commitments that the Development Bank, which is also known as the Brics Bank, has been making, particularly with Eskom and with Transnet. You are our man at the Brics Bank. There's a little confusion about exactly how much money they have committed. Give us a ballpark figure. What exactly has the bank committed to South Africa and which institutions are affected?
Thank you very much, Karima. The bank committed 1.5 billion rand. We are having talks with them to increase that because we think we've got huge development challenges and we want to sort those development challenges out. Currently, we have secured $689 million for 3 of our state-owned companies. One is 2 actually state-owned companies, Eskom, Transnet for the container terminal, and finally, now recently, 300 million rand. $300 million to the DBSA to do some IPP and clean technology projects. This one was approved last week when we were in Argentina, when the bank, the governors, or I mean the directors of the bank met. So we've got 689 so far, and we are a few millions before we reach our target of 1.5, which could even be more come next year. Now,
of course, the rationale for giving South Africa the money was to what people called level the playing field, if I don't, if I'm not mistaken, because of course South Africa is seen as the gateway to Africa, and if one looks at scale, Africa's economy simply doesn't compare to the BRICS, the other BRICS partners. Do you think the amounts that has been committed so far does get us to a better, starting point? Does that put us on an equal footing to, for example, compete and to involve ourselves with the scales of the economy such as India, Brazil, and Russia and China?
We're not yet there, but we have to do more. But let me just explain. We have approved 28 projects so far for all the countries. South Africa is sitting at 3. Think about it. The bank committed $5.7 billion. South Africa only has 689 million. It's not enough. So, and if you think about our paid-in capital, we have paid in so far about 9.8 billion. We're still going to put another, this is our paid-in capital, our commitment to the bank. We own the bank. So by looking at that, you can see clearly that we are far away from what we're putting in keeping the bank alive, to what we're getting out. So the challenge for us in South Africa, one, is to ensure that we fix our pipeline projects, fix our project preparation processes, and also make sure that we access more than what we've accessed so far.
Okay, DG, let's just listen to Cyril Ramaphosa, the President of South Africa, speak about the significance, of course, of this BRICS Bank and how it's going to assist with development and infrastructure.
Most important achievements, and there have been many, many achievements that we can talk about as the BRICS family, has been in the first decade of BRICS was the establishment of the new Development Bank, which fills a critical gap in project funding.
Now, I mean, The President is correct in the sense that he says the BRICS Bank is one of the most significant issues. But if one looks at how to get Africa on scale, how does one do that? We saw a lot of African states present at the gathering itself. The President put a lot of emphasis on Central African countries. How will the rest of Africa interface with this bank, and what is their relationship going to be with South Africa?
Currently, the membership of BRICS stands at only 5 countries. We are currently discussing membership expansion, and we cannot think of any other country or think of any other continent other than ensuring that our African colleagues in other African countries become members. Then they will be eligible for funding, eligible to apply or to participate in bank activities. So that discussion is ongoing because expansion of the membership is going to make it easy. Now, I think the decision we took as South Africa, as part of our outreach program to invite African countries to be part of this summit was a good one, in that we are saying to our African brothers that we are here, we are in BRICS, and we want you to join us and be with us as we engage in ensuring that Africa's development is put forward. Africa's infrastructure backlog stands at around between 80 and $100 billion, which is something that I think we should look at in connecting infrastructure, connecting the kind of movement of goods that we anticipate.
DG, you've just concretely explained that backlog of Africa. We are central to that. Let's focus on Eskom and the bank's involvement and investment in Eskom. What exactly has it invested? But more importantly, how is the due diligence done? Because one of the things that the BRICS BRICS Bank chairperson has said is that they'd found difficulty on how to operationalize projects in South Africa. And we're going to come back to, of course, why that is important, considering the latest report that is out around the extent to which state capture took place at institutions such as Eskom.
The problem with South Africa's projects are twofold. One was, how do we actually make sure that they are put decided on up to a point where they can be bankable, where they can be funded. The pipeline, as I said earlier, is very slow.
Yeah.
We took a long time to decide as to what exactly do we need and how do we need the support. I think now, and one of the key reasons was that Shanghai was just too far from us. We have recently, last year, the Africa Regional Center was opened. Recently, in the last 3 months or so, Mr. Monale Ratsuma, who is now the Africa Regional Center head, is appointed. We released him completely from the National Treasury. He's now with the National Development Bank. He is the representative of the bank in South Africa, in Sandton. And he understands our system, he understands what it means, he understands the stakeholders in South Africa and the processes. And we think by him setting up a good team of people together here will make it easy for us to reach those bankable projects and to actually expand on the pipeline. Now, that's the first part. The second part was just the institutions themselves. You are correct. I think if you look at Eskom and other state-owned companies, it took long to get to a point where really investments have to be coming through, with obviously the challenges that most of these institutions had.
Did you hold that thought? We're going to take a break here on The Fix. We like to dig deep. And after the break, I'll be joined by columnist Peter Bruce, who's of course going to be joining me in the conversation as we press for answers. Don't go anywhere.